I was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Here we go. Welcome into another weekend, Easter weekend here at Superstation 101, WIDE, as we kick off your weekend here. Hopefully everything going well for you. In studio is David. Good morning.
Hi.
How are you?
Kind of deeply disturbed. On the TV in the studio, there was a commercial, and a corn dog had a face, and it looked sad. And it reminded me of that Friday the 13th, the series episode where the food was all talking and going, "Please don't eat me," and the lady sews her mouth shut.
Wow. Have we started this show off on an odd note? Got anything to follow that up with, Jeff?
Not really.
All right, then. Remind me next time. Next time I start the show, don't start with David in the introductions.
No, that's never a good call, Steve.
We peaked early.
Yeah, we did. Ryan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Steve. Happy Easter, everybody, and everything is awesome.
Yes, indeed. We've got news about the Lego movie coming up here in just a little bit. And Jacob's on the phone as well. How are you?
I am good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you back. Josh is somewhere over in Mississippi following the group casting crowns around. I have no idea why.
Well, good.
As one does.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, I guess. Well, like Josh does anyway. Welcome into the show officially here, and not a whole lot of TV news here, but Jacob, you have been hard at work, and we're gonna spend a little bit of time here in the top 10, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us actually, because Ryan, you had the chance to check out the movie Transcendence, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll be able to talk a little bit about that as well, but I'm going to run down the top 10, and then we're going to kind of quickly go over the very early returns on our fantasy league here. And I say very early because I'm looking at the dates of some of the movies that we've picked, and there are some people that have movies that are far off from now. I mean, the first film that comes up for them on the calendar is still like almost 2 months from now.
I'm pretty sure we all know why Steve wants to go ahead and check the standings.
No, if we got the time, I want to do this like every week because you mentioned something, and we're going to get to this right now as we get to the top 10 movies of last weekend. Starting off at number 10, Mr. Peabody and Sherman hanging in there, 1.9 million, 105.3, so that's just about out. Muppets Most Wanted probably is about ready to drop out as well. 2.3 million, kind of a weak, 45.8 million for the Muppets, considering their first film made, 150 to 200 million, something like that?
Yeah, I believe it did.
So, kind of a weak second film for them. Grand Budapest Hotel, Jeff, it just keeps hanging in there, man.
I know, and I still have yet to see it.
Yeah, me too. I'm sad.
It makes me sad.
Like a corn dog?
Like a corn dog.
About to be eaten. I see we've got a theme for this show going.
Sad corn dogs.
Yeah, really. 4.1 million for the Grand Budapest Hotel, so 39.5 million. Now, these numbers are as of officially Monday night at midnight. God's Not Dead in at number 7, 7.4 million, or excuse me, 5.5 million, 40.9. Then Divergence in there at number 6, 7.4 million, 124.8. Noah up into the top 5, still 7.6 at 85 million overall. Draft Day, debuting at $9.8 million. And I liked the film. I wanted to like it more than what I did. That number hits right about right for me. I can see where that is. And I'm saying that because that's one of the films that I drafted, literally. And I thought it would perform better than this. I don't know why. I figured this might be Kevin Costner being in the sports film, which is what he's probably best known for. I would have thought that this might be a $100 million film. I'm thinking more like 50 to 75 million.
We'll see, buddy.
Yeah. I could be surprised. It may have sticking power, but at this point in time, this thing may get washed away pretty quick. That's not a good sign. Oculus comes in at number 3. 12 million in its opening weekend?
There isn't any other horror movies out right now, is there?
Is that what we're basing this on? $12 million for Oculus in its first weekend just because it's the only horror film out there?
Yeah, probably. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's been the only horror film for a little while.
That's true. All right. We'll have to see how it does in week number 2. How's this thing doing on Rotten Tomatoes?
I have no idea.
It's at a 70%. It's pretty strong.
Oculus is
actually.
doing 70%.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's higher than Man of Steel, isn't it?
It's a good movie.
Huh. Interesting.
Gosh.
Rio 2, the animated film, debuting at $39.3 million. Strong debut for Rio 2. This may be the year for the family film and the animated kind of thing.
That's why I went with How to Train Your Dragon, baby.
That's looking like it's going to be a strong one. And then you got the number 1 film of the week, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, $41.3 million over the last weekend, and official numbers from the weekend leave it at $158.9 million. You noted something, though, and you're very right about this, how much it dropped off.
Was it 56%?
56% drop in its first week. That's an interesting sign. Now, granted, $158.9 million. And Jacob, when you updated the list of our draft numbers, officially as of what day were these numbers?
I want to say that's Wednesday.
Okay, so this thing
Either
made...
Wednesday or Thursday.
So this made about $25 million from Sunday night at midnight to Wednesday. It's currently sitting, according to Jacob's numbers as of Wednesday, we'll go with that day, 170.596. And then you've got draft day listed at 12.7. The only other person on the board right now is Josh with the movie Rio 2, officially as of Wednesday, $49.2 million. And then you look at some of these. We've finally got another person about ready to hit the board, and that's Ryan, because you've got Transcendence, which comes out this week. So you'll finally get something on the scoreboard. Then the next person up will be you, David.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing Spider-Man. You got to wait until the opening weekend of May. May the 2nd.
I'm good waiting, man.
Let's see. Waiting a little bit longer, going to be Jacob. First movie to be released for Jacob is Maleficent. And then, Jeff, you're going to have a big fat 0 until we get into June.
That's fine.
But here's the thing. 4 of your 5 films all released that month.
Cashola, baby.
This is going to be real interesting to watch.
First month all the kids are out of school. Bring it.
Yeah. This is going to be real interesting to watch these standings change as we go through. So I anticipate trying to carve out some time each week and kind of update as we go on through. Because, again, you mentioned it, Captain America dropping like 50+%. That could be a bad sign for me, because this really was probably my headliner in looking at what I've chosen. Draft Day, got the other woman. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes probably is going to be a pretty good moneymaker. I mean, from everything that we're hearing. The Purge, Anarchy is kind of a wild card. You mentioned the fact that there was lack of horror films coming out right now. Purge is getting some good news. I just don't know what I can expect out of it.
Well, the thing about Captain America is it has legs. It's just that everyone went to see it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, why does it need to stick around in theaters?
I need repeat business. Go back and see Captain America 2 again.
I've seen it 3 times.
Go back and see it again, man. So anyway, that's the quick update. I've got the lead, but then again, I've got 2 of the films already out, and Josh is in second place with only 1 film out, and he's already got a quarter of what I have, and just with the 1 film.
Yeah, all you early guys get to watch me come on strong late.
Yeah, no kidding. By the end of June, man, we're going to be looking at Jeff and going, hello, he's the comeback kid.
Maybe. We'll see.
You never know. Let's talk about a little bit of what's coming out this week. Haunted House 2. This is Marlon Wayans, Cedric the Entertainer, Jamie Presley. Second spoof of horror films. Malcolm, one of the characters of the film, beginning anew with his girlfriend and her 2 children, but paranormal activities begin to take place in their new place. So that's out. Anybody?
Nope.
No.
I wish I could imitate crickets.
Yeah, I pretty much expected that's exactly what I was going to get. Bears, the Disney documentary about the life of a mother grizzly, and no, I'm not talking about Sarah Palin, and her cubs, narrated by John C. Reilly. Anybody?
Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't like educational films.
I'm not big into my education. Officially, what came out on Wednesday is the faith-based film Heaven is for Real. Starts Greg Kinnear, Thomas Hayden Church, based upon the book of the same name, where a 4-year-old son of a small-town father goes under the operating knife. While he is under the knife, he ends up being revived. He tells his parents about the things that he should have no recollection about while he was under. and the
I
father's
don't like education.
and the father's battle for the courage to tell the world about it. It's based upon the real life story of Todd and Colton Burpo, the father and the son. There, he's about 14 now. This goes back about 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob.
That sounds about right.
About 10 years ago, so he's about 14, 15 years old now. Jacob, you and I had the chance to go see it. I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on the movie Heaven is for Real?
Find another faith-based film to spend your money on this year. This is just terrible. It's hands down just awful. The writing is bad. The characters aren't fun. Greg Kinnear is not even good in this movie. It's just bad. And I mean, I don't expect my kid actors to play Hamlet or anything like that, but they could have shopped somewhere other than the bargain bin for their child actor.
How many Anakins out of 5?
Nicely
it was
done.
like they built a robot to play the kid.
Was he as bad as young Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins?
Oh, he was way worse than that.
Wow.
That guy seemed lifelike.
That's pretty bad.
And that kid knew to close his mouth after he finished his line.
Wow.
It's just bad. The worst part is it doesn't have a strong enough message to make up for the fact that it's a bad movie. Like if at least if it had like some kind of like really strong message about Christianity, you could say, well, you know, it's not a great movie, but it's got a great message. You can't say that about this movie. It's very shallow. It's just, the plot is terrible. It's just terrible all around. I'm giving it a 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my Lord in heaven!
You're having a good time over there. Now, answer me this. Answer me this, Jacob. Previously, worst film of the year was what? Was it Noah or was it Pompeii?
Pompeii was worse for me.
Okay. Is this worse than Heaven is for Real? Is Pompeii worse than Heaven is for Real?
I'd rather go watch Pompeii again.
Oh.
There you go. I'm not going to go that far. I'll tell you this right now. He's giving it a 2. I'm going to double that, which is not great shakes by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to give it a 4. And it's because of the fact that I understand this is a very, very low-budget film. That's what faith-based films, as a general rule, are right now. Noah set aside. Not that Noah was really all that faith-based anyway. But he's right. The acting is not all that great. Greg Kinnear playing a pastor of a church out in Nebraska, in this case, the real-life guy, Todd Burpo. Whoever wrote the sermons was not Todd. It was not Todd. Whoever it was had this idea in their head, you know what, we'll write a sermon and it'll sound really good. And I sat there listening to these sermons that Greg Kinnear is supposed to be delivering. And where the heck did they get this from?
It was kind of like they were written by someone who'd never actually been to church, but had seen some preachers on TV.
I've heard of this church thing. How hard can it be, really?
I'll just watch some televangelist and we'll come up with something. It just, I agree. It wasn't that good. The child, you're right, he has one face throughout the entire film, and it's catching flies all the time.
Say, most of the time his mouth is open.
Exactly. He's got this mouth agape look the entire time that he is that he seems to be on the screen.
So he's Megan Fox.
Yeah, pretty much. It was not a good film. If you are going to spend your money on a faith-based film, you've got God's Not Dead. And, quite frankly, we talked about Josh Walsh a little bit earlier, working with the Irwin Brothers, Mom's Night Out coming out Mother's Day. Save your money for that. That's my suggestion. I would love to be able to tell you that this is a good film, but it's just not. So I give it a 4. Again, it's a little bit higher than you, but at this point in time for me, this sits on my rankings of the worst films of 2014 so far. This sits at number 3 behind Pompeii, which is my worst, and Noah, which is my second worst. What are you finding out over there?
I was looking to see if I could find text of one of the sermons from this film.
Oh, did you?
Does it sound familiar?
Okay.
Baby, do you know what it's worth? Ooh, baby, heaven is a place on earth.
Thank you,
they say in heaven.
I'm not sure because I didn't see the movie, but I'm
Love
pretty sure
comes
that's not
first.
part of it.
Yeah, I don't remember Belinda Carlisle being in the film.
It seems like someone watched a couple of sermons and listened to Bill and the Carlisle and then wrote it.
Yeah, apparently. And that brings us up to Transcendence here. And Jacob, are you going to be able to stick with us throughout the show, or are you going to have to take off early?
I'm going to take off after this.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and give your thoughts on Transcendence, and then we'll take the break. Ryan and I will give our thoughts on it as well. So, Jacob, you're up. Transcendence, what do you think?
All right, and continuing in my week of watching terrible movies, Transcendence is also a terrible movie. The plot makes zero sense. You walk out of it going, what on earth just happened? I still have no idea. Like, it seems like it could be a cool idea. Like, they could have gone somewhere with it, but it just seemed convoluted. It really seems like they took like 30 writers and each said, here's your scene, you write this, and we're going to put it all together. And none of them communicated with each other in between.
Sounds like the Rasberries are coming early this year.
I mean, it's just bad. The writing for the characters aren't good because you don't care about them. Before, you have two types of movies. You either have the movie where they spend way too much time developing a character and then you don't get enough action, or you get so little time developing the character and then the whole movie is action, so you don't care about them. This is one of those movies where they don't spend any time developing the character. Like, it's just, here you go. I'm a scientist. Now I'm going to put myself into a computer. Oh, no, I'm a bad guy. And then that's the movie. But wait, am I? The end.
All right. So ultimately, on a scale of 1 to 10, where does this land for you?
A 3. It was prettier than Heaven's Not Dead. I mean, Heaven is for real.
Okay, so you've got an average rating so far this week of 2 films of 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. That's how good my movie-going experience this week has gone.
Sounds like you need another shot of Captain America, too.
I kind of want to write these studios back and demand my gas money to get to the theater for this.
Not a good sign. Well, Jacob, I appreciate your thoughts. I'm sorry that it wasn't a great week for you in the films. Maybe next week will be better.
Hopefully so.
You never know. Jacob, I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my man. Thank you so much.
Bye.
When we come back on the other side of the break, Ryan has seen Transcendence. I have seen Transcendence. David has seen Transcendence. Does anybody like the film? We'll find out next.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
Welcome back in. You are listening to the Entertainment Roundtable here, Superstation 101 WIDE. And if it seems a little odd that we would come back to the song We Will Rock You by Queen, knowing the fact that you've got Bears, Heaven is for Real, A Haunted House, and Transcendence all coming out, and you know that we come back with a song off of a soundtrack to a film as much as we can, does anybody want to guess as
Bears.
to which film this comes out of? You're going Bears? Ryan?
We've been coming back to music from a soundtrack all this time?
Yes, we have.
I would say the Mighty Ducks.
Which is not out right now. Thank you very much, Ryan. Of the films that are out now, what might We Will Rock You be off of?
Heaven is for Real. I don't know.
I'm going to guess Bears.
Jeff and David are wrong. Ryan's actually correct. We Will Rock You is on the soundtrack to Heaven is for Real because they're on a road trip, and it's the family. It's the 4 of them. And they're riding down the road. I think they're going to someplace out in Colorado. I can't remember what it was. And they're all singing a Christian song. And then all of a sudden, the 4-year-old kid goes, "Can we sing We Will Rock You?" And mom and dad look at each other, and all of a sudden, the entire family breaks into it.
Well, it's a classic.
That was actually probably the best part of the film for me.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. All right, Transcendence. So far, we have a 3. Jacob just did not like it. Ryan, you went to go see it. Johnny Depp, Morgan Freeman, and others film about a doctor who's killed the scientist who put his conscious into a computer, and those who are against such technology. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that this idea was so good on paper, but on film, not so much.
Me.
Not so much. I like the cast, though. You know, it's good to see Johnny Depp, the actual Johnny Depp, not some goofy weirdo character.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, definitely. It was good to see Johnny again. The other cast members did the best they could with kind of a weak script. There were a few plot holes. One character in particular bugged me to the point where she was like, why is she working with this team? She killed a bunch of people early on in the film, and then they just work with her to bring down another mastermind? That's ridiculous. And then there was a major loose end that wasn't quite tied up towards the end of the film. So visually it looked good. Casting-wise, they did a good job. But overall, for a first-time director, not so hot. I'm going to give Transcendence a 6 out of 10.
3 for Jacob, 6 for Ryan. And Ryan, 6 is actually a pretty low rating for you. You tend to kind of go a little on the high side. I will admit to that. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just a trend. So 6 is not a great ranking for Ryan. David?
Is it possible to spoil a movie that where nothing happened? That's my question.
Is it possible to spoil a movie where nothing happened? I don't know. Give it a shot.
Well, Transcendence already did because they spoiled their entire movie in the first frame. They're like, post-apocalyptic world, look what's happened. Like any kind of surprise that they could have given us was
good guys
done.
lose.
Oh, and with so many good actors, you would assume that there would be some good acting involved in this movie, but there was no emotion. There was no reason to watch this. The science doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, updating satellite drivers doesn't make any sense when you're talking about copying your brain over to a computer. It just doesn't. It's stupid. There's nothing there. It's a terrible, terrible movie. I give it a 1 out of 10.
Oh, God.
Oh my gosh. Pfizer or whatever his name is, Nolan's DP.
Oh, Pfister.
Okay. Yeah, this is his directorial debut.
All right.
It looked pretty. I'll give it that.
Okay.
The man's a great DP.
Yes. But I was hoping that since it wasn't written by Nolan or directed by Nolan, that it wouldn't have, the spinning top syndrome that most Nolan movies have, but it still did. They still tried to throw in some or maybe this is a possibility. Oh my gosh. I just can't believe how bad this movie is.
1 out of 10.
And by the way, Johnny Depp was not Johnny Depp in this movie. He was trying to sound like George Harrison or something, but he couldn't keep his accent, whatever it was.
Yeah, the Robin Hood syndrome. Yeah, that was the first thing that caused. So 1 out of 10 there. Jacob, 3 out of 10. Ryan, 6 out of 10.
And that's being generous.
Yeah, I'm not going to be that generous.
I saw a movie review online that says Transcendence could not transcend its own narrative.
I can understand.
I agree.
You walk into the film, and here's the compliment. The one compliment I can give to this film. Everybody's mentioned it. It's a good-looking film. It's very, very good-looking. Whether it's effects-wise, you get some of the sets, some of the places they are, some of the buildings they're in. It looks pretty. The effects, some of the special effects are a little herky-jerky.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe somebody did it on a Commodore 64. They try. I understand where they were going with it. So visually, yes, it's an attractive film. But the only thing that's missing is the fate of Johnny Depp's character at the beginning. Within the first 5 minutes, you know where this film is going to head.
Yeah, you never give away the ending in the first 10 minutes of film.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have any problem with you kind of putting things out of order. I think the way that Quentin Tarantino cut Pulp Fiction, for example, where all the little pieces that are in the film are kind of a little bit disjointed and out of order, not quite time frame, it's not time sensitive necessarily. I don't have a problem with that. But in this case, the end of the movie was at the beginning for all intents and purposes, and it left very little to the imagination. Let's put it another way. David and Jacob and I were all sitting in the movie theater, and when the lights came up as the credits were rolling and the people, what few of us there were in the movie theater, were strolling out, I looked at the two of them and said, what the heck did we just watch?
I don't know.
The scariest thing that happened in this
movie... And that's just it. I don't know either.
The scariest thing that happened in this movie was that sign at the very beginning that said, no milk, no dairy.
Yeah. And then he says, I hear rumors that there's power in one city on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And there's some phone access in Pittsburgh. I was like, what? This is not a good film. This Johnny Depp was not given anything to work with here, and then when he went in, he had an accent that he tried to affect, and he did not affect it very, very well at all.
Look at me, I'm a scientist.
What was the name of the girl?
Scientist.
Kate Mara.
Yeah, dude, that character did not belong in that film.
Well, not only that, but for whatever reason, she starts off the film with one hair color, and then for no particular reason whatsoever, all of a sudden her hair is stark white by the middle of the film. What?
Transcended color
on the wrist for all the negative stuff that she did early in the film.
I noticed that, but
I mean, there
was
were
so
things that happened in this
distracted.
film that I just looked at it and I went, Hey, wait a minute, why did that happen?
I don't understand why Johnny Depp can get a gunshot wound in the gut and then like 20 minutes later he's walking around fine.
Yeah.
This is before anything happens to him, really. So
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. The whole thing
made no sense.
The whole thing is just I kind of understand where they were going, and it does have a decent idea of a plot, but it had no plot. And I have sat through movies. I mean, we've gone and seen Lord of the Rings. We've gone and seen Hobbit. We've gone and seen movies that are 2.5, 3 hours long, and we've walked out of it and we've gone, I wanted more. I walked out of this film and I just looked at the time and I said, that was the longest 2 hours of my life.
Uh-huh.
It's not a terribly long film, but it just seems like it is that much longer.
Mm-hmm. It does.
This doesn't bode well for my standings.
Unfortunately, this is not a great jump out of the gate for you, Ryan. It may do decent on the first weekend, but once word gets out, it's not going to have a good second weekend. I am going to give this now my new third worst movie of the year.
You know what I saw?
3.
I saw it was trending 17% on Rotten Tomatoes last night.
I'm a little surprised it's gone that high.
Oh, it's hopped up to 18 today.
Oh. Based upon what? What are people...
Land
do me a
sakes.
favor. Find one person that has a compliment for this film and tell me what it is that they liked about this movie. Because well,
it was very pretty,
I want to be able to pull something out other than it was a good-looking film. There's got to be something more there.
Well, it was
isn't there?
heavy-handed sci-fi.
Yeah,
premise,
it was.
anyway.
You know, and let's face it, this is a Luddite's wet dream of a film. I mean, if you are against technology, man, this movie's for you.
Here's a positive blurb for you.
Okay.
Moderately entertaining.
Moderately entertaining.
Periodically draggy.
Wow.
That's the guy from the Christian Science Monitor, which is the first positive I could find on this page.
Good night almighty.
Really?
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
has Johnny Depp in it. Ding!
Ding.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's worth 5 points right there. No, I'm sorry. This is not good. 1 for David, 2 3s, myself and Jacob, and a 6. So yeah, that's not a good good average.
Rebecca Hall was kind of attractive in it sometimes.
Yeah, she starred with Ben Affleck in The Town. And number 2 here is, guys, overall, I think this film will be lucky if it breaks $50 million domestically.
You might be onto something. I will be very interested to see where this goes in its opening weekend.
By the way,
it's got a 55% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm curious, why were the people who were against technology using magic hacking technology to find everyone? Just wondering.
Because it's only good for us. It's not good for you.
Okay. Well,
it's like the federal government.
I hate the magic hack. The whole movie was magic hack.
Yeah, it really was.
They had transcended their own argument.
It's like, look, I've got
transcended something.
I've got a
good movie
laptop, and it could do everything anyone's ever wanted it to do in the world. Like,
I know, I love it. I've got like 20 gazillion terabytes of data on my iPhone.
I mean, I look at what's out this week, and man, this is not a good week at all. I don't know. We'll see where we go from here. Fading Gigolo is out in limited release. It stars John Turturro, Woody Allen, and Sharon Stone. If you're so interested, you're going to have to search for it. Something called Make Your Move, another film called Tasting Menu, and something called The Final Member. Out in theaters next week, The Other Woman, which I think is out in somewhat limited release this weekend. Am I wrong?
Crickets.
No idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the films I drafted, but I felt like I needed a comedy. Brick Mansions, the Paul Walker film, and a movie called The Quiet Ones comes out next week, among other films.
That's a horror movie, I do believe.
As I remember reading it, yes, it is a horror film. But
Yeah,
I
there you
can't
go.
remember exactly who all's in it. But then again,
Sam Claflin from Hunger Games.
that's next week. Oh, okay. Well, he needed to do something in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How much time do we have in this segment? Let's ask. Okay. So we got a little bit of time here. Let's get into the movie news because there is actually quite a bit of it, and we're going to start. We'll get into some trailers here in just a second. First up, Ryan, I want to start with you and a guy who just returned to TV. I'm talking about Robin Williams. Slated to use his time off on the CBS hit comedy The Crazy Ones to work on a movie, and apparently he's going back in time, so to speak. He's going to pull back an old character and come back to film with it? What are we talking about?
Yes, apparently so. After 20 years since the original film came out, Robin Williams is going to reprise the role of Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams and Chris Columbus attached to star and direct.
Chris Columbus is directing?
Yes, from the original film. He's going to return to direct the second installment of this particular, I guess, new sort of franchise. But as I say again, no creativity left in Hollywood. This is another dumb idea.
I'm trying to think how this, maybe he's estranged from one of his kids and he wants to see his grandkids this time, maybe?
That's the only place I could go with it, because you mentioned it's 20 years after the fact.
Well, remember the end of the last one, he'd actually turned that into like a TV character, so...
He has. Maybe it's Mrs. Doubtfire versus Tootsie.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where you're going to go 20 years after the fact. I mean, does he become a nanny for some other family? Or, yeah, maybe you're onto something. Maybe it could be that he's trying to reconnect with his kids again.
But then again, if he became a famous personality, it's not like they wouldn't know that it was Dad.
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah. And now I read
Yeah.
Before coming in that the girl that played the daughter is not coming back.
Well, one of the daughters.
Well, I mean, but then again, it's 20 years older. I mean, you could pretty much throw anybody else in there and not really necessarily have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I mean, would we like the continuity? Yeah, probably. But this film, of all the films that he has done, he's going to make a sequel out of it?
I think the question is this film of all the films he's done lately. That's the better way to look at it, Steve.
Lately is a very loose use of that word, considering this is a 20-year-old film.
Yes. Everything after...
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Well, I would say everything probably in the last 10 years has been tripe from him.
Yeah, it really has. He's in his element, I think. He's found himself back in kind of a somewhat enclosed area when it comes to being in a sitcom, and I think that's probably best where he's left. You mentioned Ben Affleck a little bit earlier, Ryan. There's a film starring him that's coming up. It's entitled Gone Girl. You've seen a trailer. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It's going to be directed by David Fincher, based on the best-selling novel of the same name. Man's wife goes missing. Everyone thinks that the husband killed her. Wow, what a coinkydink. Rosamund Pike, speaking of Bond girls, she's going to be in this film starring as the wife. You know, I saw the trailer, a lot of music, not a lot of substance. So to me, this is all bark and no bite. But then again, it's a teaser trailer. We got a lot of time left, and the film's going to hit theaters everywhere on October the 3rd.
Well, I can tell you that there's one person on this panel that is excited, and that is Jeff. Why
Absolutely.
are you excited?
Well, 2 words, David Fincher.
Ah, okay.
I mean, I'm a big fan of his, and it looks like this is a David Fincher movie.
Okay.
And yeah,
so you've seen the trailer.
Yes.
Do you disagree that basically it's a whole lot of music, not a whole lot of substance? In other words, it is literally a teaser trailer, and we're waiting for something that actually gives us a little more of the plot?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, but you're in on this.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Could your mind be changed? And I'm merely asking the question because I don't know enough about this film to know. Could your mind be changed if you saw a trailer that just kind of disappointed you, or would you go see it anyway?
The only David Fincher film I have not seen is Benjamin Button, so I'm pretty much in it to win it.
Okay. All in. All right. Good grief. There's so much X-Men stuff coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to wait. Yeah, we're going to wait. We'll talk about the X-Men in a minute. I do want to do this kind of a deal here, and David, we go to you on this.
Yes, sir.
The brewing battle between DC's Batman vs. Superman film and the recent Marvel Disney announcement that they're going to be releasing Captain America 3 on the exact same date in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked right here that DC was probably going to flinch, and they were going to move the release date of the Caped Crusader versus the all-around superhero mashup, but DC is thinking that they're not?
Yeah, they're standing. They're standing steady on their date, but that's not even the most interesting part of this story.
Okay, well, let's deal with that in a second. First things first. Keeping Batman versus Superman on the same release day as Captain America 3. Good idea, bad idea, David?
Impossible to know without seeing a trailer.
All right, Jeff?
It's bad for both of them. I mean,
yeah?
In my opinion.
They'll undercut each other?
Absolutely.
Ryan, you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts?
As much as I would love to see a game of chicken between two of the biggest studios in the entire history of the universe, I don't think it should happen at this point because Batman vs. Superman needs its own couple of weeks to grow and to expand and to be the best film that the fans want and can be. So I would say, Warner Brothers and DC, you need to move the date, brother, because it ain't going to work.
I kind of tend to agree with Ryan in some ways because we've seen, and I understand that the two Superman films we've had over the past few years have made, what, $200 million-ish, a little bit more? Somewhere in that. They've averaged about $200 million domestically, but nobody, for the most part, we haven't just jumped up and down and said, this is the Superman that we've been looking for since Christopher Reeve and Superman 2. This is a totally different Batman from what we just saw in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, regardless of whether you liked it or not. You got to admit, it made bank.
Yep.
This is an entirely different Batman, so we're kind of resetting that particular character. I think this one needs that opportunity to grow personally.
Well, they have said a lot of stuff can happen in between, now and then. So
I get the funny feeling that this idea that they may not switch the date on this, I think that'll change here over the next, 2 years because it's an April release? Or is it a May release? I forget.
I believe it's a May.
Okay.
Yeah, it's May 6th.
Okay, so we still got 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot between now and then can change, and you never know. You mentioned it. You want to see some trailers, first things first.
Right.
We might just be so blown away by the first trailer for Batman versus Superman that we might change our mind. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I have no doubt that it's gonna have an incredible every Snyder film has had an incredible trailer. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Then the question becomes:
Sucker Punch was like, holy cow!
Does the film build upon the trailer?
The film in of itself is like a 2-hour-long trailer.
Exactly.
This is true.
Okay, so now that we've kind of come to the idea, we're not, and kind of feeling the whole thing may end up still changing between now and 2 years from now, what is, in your mind, the most interesting part of this story?
David S. Goyer is actually talking about, this is the first time they've actually said that they are looking to make the television, like Arrow, The Flash, and the cinematic universe the same universe.
Wow.
This is the first time they
finally figured that one out,
He
did
actually
they?
said it because I read, last week he was like, no one said anything to me about it.
Yeah, he's been saying that. Greg Berlanti, Goyer, they've all been saying that. Now he's saying it.
Okay, cool.
But he's also saying it's too early and that Warner Bros. Would love to make the universe more cohesive, et cetera, but they actually are actively talking about doing that now.
There's still time. There's still time to make that work, and you think about it. Arrow is going very well for the CW. They're about to premiere Flash over there, and other characters are either being hinted to or being introduced on either one or both of these shows. So I think it's a smart move. It's the only move. It's the move that they should have made. It's the move that they should have touted right from the get-go.
The confusing part is that he was like, we don't want to emulate Marvel. And I'm like, why?
Why not? It's a success story. Duh. All right, when we come back, speaking of Marvel, a whole lot of X-Men stuff, and we got a little bit of Avengers that we're going to talk about as well. And another film about King Arthur? Yeah, apparently there's one in the works. We'll let you know about it next.
They do all their own stunts. The Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
We didn't over the past couple of weeks and all the talk about David Letterman retiring and Stephen Colbert coming on board, we didn't actually play the theme song to David Letterman late night. So, there you go.
Because it's terrible.
I would agree. It's not really a great theme song. And then again,
it's just
we don't have hardly any TV news at all. In fact, you want to go ahead and talk about the one bit of TV news we got, David?
I don't remember what it is.
It's Ricky Gervais.
Oh, well, that's going to be a movie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So we have no TV news. We'll get back to Ricky Gervais later. Ryan, let's get back to you here on trailers. The latest one for X-Men Days of Future Past. First of all, has everyone seen it? Yes. Okay. Ryan, we start with you. What did you think of it?
We got a little bit of new footage, a little bit of footage of some of the different mutants that are going to be appearing in this film. I think it looks excellent. It looks awesome. It looks epic. My expectations for this film are higher than the Empire State Building of New York City. So if this film fails us, I'm going to be sincerely angry. But May 23rd, it's Judgment Day. It's game time. Bryan Singer and company, bring your A game, brother.
Josh's third-round draft pick. Jeff, let's go to you.
I'm kidding. It actually, this is the first trailer that got me really excited. I mean, I was looking forward to it, but this one now I'm like, you know what? This looks good.
Yeah.
It really does. Except Quicksilver. He still looks stupid. But everything else looks really good. So I'm down.
Okay.
I'm so down.
David?
The trailer looks really amazing except for Quicksilver. And I have absolutely no expectation for it because it's Singer, it's Fox, it's X-Men. They're going to disappoint me. I know they're going to disappoint me. They've done it every time. They've broken my heart over and over again. I can't keep going back, Steve. I can't.
Yes, you can.
I'm like J-Lo. I've had enough.
Yeah. I was really. I was thrilled to death to see the very first X-Men film. I was happy that they finally brought it to the big screen. I thought it was a decent film. X2, I was kind of okay with, but I was kind of disappointed. And then pretty much since then, I've been kind of looking at the X-Men films and been going, it's okay. Not great. Still have yet actually to see The First Class.
Oh, you got to see that.
And I do need to see that before I see this.
First Class was the best one they've done.
Okay,
Yes.
so I do need to see that before I've seen this. But I will say this right now. This is the first film since the very first X-Men film that I'm legitimately excited about. And this trailer is the one that actually put me over the top on that. So I am looking forward to it. Speaking of the movie, David, one character that we were thinking for a little while might not show up is going to be in the movie. Who were we talking about?
Well, they were talking about Rogue, how she had like a minor part in the movie, and it looked like her scenes were going to be cut. Bryan Singer said her scenes were extraneous, but now it's looking like she's actually going to show up again and have a pivotal cameo. So I guess they decided she was a little more aeneas. I don't.
And if it wasn't a word before, it is now.
So yeah, it looks like Rogue's going to be back.
So Anna Paquin returns. We've seen a couple of solo Wolverine films, and they've said at times that they've been thinking about making films about some of the different characters solo, kind of like that, but we've never seen that yet. But now apparently they're being more serious, or is this just still talk?
Well, Lauren Schuler Donner is saying that there used to be a regime at the studio that didn't want to see spinoffs. They didn't see the worth in them. But the current people who are at Fox embrace it, and they're going to start doing right by that concept. She wants to do Gambit starring Channing Tatum, and first of all, that just tells me that she doesn't know what right by it means. And she also wants to do Deadpool. Of course, she'll probably not have Ryan Reynolds like we want and cast Channing Tatum. But
Jay Baruchel is Deadpool.
Producer Simon Kinberg actually wants to do a Mystique spinoff with Jennifer Lawrence, and I think that's the smartest idea that I've heard of any of these.
That, I think, would be the smartest idea out there. You mentioned Channing Tatum. He says Tatum has said that he's tested on this?
Yeah, he's saying that he's had talks with these guys, and he's actually working on the accent.
They couldn't find anybody better to play Gambit?
No. Well, you haven't seen X-Men Origins Wolverine, so...
Save yourself.
Taylor Kitsch, no.
Oh, trust me, I'm not pushing for Taylor Kitsch. Believe me, I'm not. I'm saying better. There's got to be somebody better.
I don't want to see Gambit on the screen anyway.
Whoa.
Me either.
No, hold on. Yeah, I say that, though, as a person who, in the 90s, Gambit was my favorite X-Man.
And you were disappointed in the shots that you've been given?
I have been, yes, disappointed in everything they've done so far. I wish Wolverine wasn't in these movies because they've just kind of ruined the character for me. Like, just
as far as
X-Men
spinoffs
alone.
are concerned, I want to see Gambit, Jubilee, Cable, and the X-Force, man.
X-Force would be interesting.
Bring it on. Give it Gambit, give it Jubilee, definitely. And by the way, Gambit, I'm okay with Taylor Kitsch coming back because I was actually okay with him in the role. But if they're going to recast him, find better talent because Channing Tatum can't act his way out of a paper bag.
Which is my opinion of Taylor Kitsch, but that's my opinion, Jeff.
The only way I want to see Jubilee in any X-Men movie is for her to be violently murdered.
Well, we've seen her in Sentinel. We've seen her in 3 or 4 of them.
She's about the most annoying X-Man ever created.
They're like, Jubilee, grab the rope. And then they don't mention her again.
She was specifically created so Wolverine wouldn't be alone for like 3 issues, and they gave him the most annoying teenage girl sidekick ever. I can make sparkle things.
Yeah.
So, in other words, the jury is still far out on the idea of having solo films.
Yeah, serious. And by the way, Mystique, I don't want to see a spin-off of Mystique. There are way better X-Men characters than that one.
No, if they do like some of her secret agent stuff, or if they just go into her history and like show some, I mean,
if they do it right, yeah. And Jennifer Lawrence, I think, can pull that character off, but they're going to have to do it right. And so far, when it comes to again, never saw it. Origins Wolverine, never saw it. Probably will not. But watching the second Wolverine, the one that came out last year, not bad, but I didn't feel like it was a great film either. It was
a terrible film.
It was okay.
It was the third best movie made about an X-Men character. Come on.
Don't care. It's still bad.
All right. Let's flip the script here, and Marvel is working, apparently, on connecting Guardians of the Galaxy to the uber-successful Avengers universe. This is not something, David, that we're going to find in next year's Age of Ultron, though, correct?
Well,
or are we?
I didn't hear it. Sorry, Jeff was talking to me.
Okay. You two.
Sorry.
The connection between Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers. Not going to happen in Age of Ultron, or is it in Age of Ultron?
All they've said is that James Gunn has said we're definitely connected to Avengers 3. And judging by the comic books, since the Guardians fought Thanos before the Avengers did, that might be the connection. I don't know.
Well, we saw Thanos in the credits to the first Avengers.
Mm-hmm. We did.
But apparently they're waiting on him. Because it's not in the second Avengers film.
It looks like they'll probably wait for Avengers 3 with him.
Okay. When is Avengers 3 slated? Have they given a date?
I think it's 2017, 2018 maybe.
They've actually got it, I don't remember, but they have it charted out to 2028 now.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember exactly where Avengers 3 landed on the calendar, but I'm not 100% certain myself. All right, let's go ahead and do this. We were talking Ricky Gervais. We're just going to totally throw the whole thing into a big skid here and talk about this. He's going to take, apparently, one of his more famous characters that he has done and make something of like a mock documentary.
Yes, David Brent, his version of the original Michael Scott from the British Office. He's going to be performing a bunch of gigs as David Brent, and they're going to be filming it for a mockumentary that is going to be Brent's pursuit of his dreams of being a pop star. And Ricky Gervais says it's going to be tragic, and it's not going to be what he thinks it is.
I have pictures of a Britney Spears, Lady Gaga version of This Is Spinal Tap.
Oh, my gosh. Have you seen any of the original Office? Anyone?
No, I haven't, actually.
You want to talk about... I mean, I've watched both versions.
Right.
And I like the American version okay, but the British version, they take that whole make you uncomfortable kind of, oh, my God, I can't believe this is happening in front of me type of humor to the extreme. He is just incredibly discomforting as his character. It is awesome.
Okay. Well, be interesting to see how this comes down. Have they given an idea of when they want to try and get this thing out?
Yeah, they're not saying yet.
They're not saying that. Still very early in that process. Apparently, we're looking, Ryan, at another film, potentially, based upon King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Am I reading that right?
Yes. Warner Brothers has announced Guy Ritchie is set to direct the new adaptation of the story of King Arthur. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on July 22nd of 2016.
That's going to be terrible.
Most likely.
Yeah.
It's Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, especially with Sherlock Holmes films. We all know how that was turned out.
Jeff?
Okay.
Yes, Jeff?
Nothing. I
Do
mean,
you have something to add?
Guy Ritchie's rated some really good films, man.
Not really.
I see we all have our own opinion, and we're going to stick with them.
That's fine.
Last King
What's
Arthur.
your opinion, Steve?
The last movie about King Arthur that I really enjoyed was Monty Python, okay? That's my thought on it. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of...
Excalibur's fantastic.
Yeah, that's okay.
The Sword in the Stone's pretty good.
Yeah. Want to go slasher films? Not really, I don't. But hey, apparently Friday the 13th, which I honestly feel is not much of a horror franchise, and as much as I've always contended it actually should be listed under comedy, has apparently been bought by no less than Michael Bay. Bay, of course, who is doing Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which come out later on this year, apparently wants to reboot the series. But again, David, correct me if I'm wrong, he's already tried to reboot it once?
Yeah, he already rebooted it in, what, was it 2009? But it flopped, and now he's going to do the found footage reboot. So it's a re-reboot.
Wow.
Is anybody calling for this at all?
No.
Michael Bay is, apparently.
It's politically incorrect, but I guess it's appropriate that Michael Bay would be one of the first people, if not the first person, to make a Re-Reboot, because I'm pretty sure he's a Re-Re.
Okay, then. And here's the third question when it comes to this. When does Megan Fox get cast in it?
Tomorrow.
Which, by the way, nobody wants to see. I'm just asking the question.
It cuts her toe thumbs off.
Stick him in her gaping maw.
Oh, one more bit of movie news, David, and let's go to Jerry Bruckheimer, who's got so much work on television, but he's working on sequels left and right. It appears he's working with Eddie Murphy again and maybe going back to the Caribbean.
Yeah, he's wanting to shoot Beverly Hills Cop 4 by the end of the year. He's going to throw Eddie back in Detroit.
Okay.
And he also wants to do Pirates of the Caribbean 5. He says they're both going to shoot by the end of the year, though.
I guess we'll see. A few films out on DVD. If you're so interested, you can get the entire collection of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in one set. Also, the movie Sorcerer and Tyler Perry's Medea's Neighbors from Hell. Ugh. For TV series collectors, you got Season 3 of Newhart. You got Doctor Who, The Web of Fear, Season 7 and 8 of Murder, She Wrote, and the Ken Burns PBS documentary, The Address, breaking down Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. One more note, Ryan. You found out the Lego Movie is about ready to hit DVD. When?
On June 17th.
All right. Enjoyed it. Ryan, we'll talk to you again at 1 week from now. Unfortunately, our time is running out. We thank you very much for your time. David, thank you again as well.
Thank you, too.
And Jeff, thank you so much. Appreciate everything. Happy Easter.